Imagine this. You're standing in a cold, concrete room. Cameras in every corner. Armed guards in red jumpsuits breathing down your neck. And across from you, another player just like you. But neither of you want to move. Neither of you want to play. So what happens now? Brain, this is a question fans of Squid Game have debated ever since the series aired. What if two players just refused? Flat out said no to the next game? Could they break the system? Or would the system break them? Let's dive deep, because the answer might not be as simple as you think. Section 1. Understanding the rules of the game. To truly understand what happens if players refuse, we need to revisit the rules set by the frontman and the game organizers. Scroll Rule 1. Players must compete in every game. Scroll Rule 2. Players are eliminated if they lose the game. Scroll Rule 3. A majority vote can end the game entirely. Now, nowhere in the rules does it explicitly say what happens if two players refuse to play, especially once the game has already started. But here's where it gets juicy. Let's recall the scene with Jeong and Bayak. In the marble game, the rules allowed flexibility. One player could win without killing the other if they managed to outwit them. But what if both simply refused to start? The game's silent enforcement kicks in only when defiance affects the structure. And that's where the system shows its cracks. Section 2. Theoretical scenario. Two players refuse. Let's create a hypothetical moment. Let's say two players walk into a game room, say the infamous glass stepping stones, and both just sit down. They drop their numbers, fold their arms. Absolute silence. Question mark, what happens now? Will the guards shoot them on the spot? Will the system glitch out? The game's design is psychological warfare. It's all about pressure, fear, and the illusion of choice. But here's where it gets terrifying. Loudspeaker speculative take. The game thrives on players' desperation. The moment someone shows indifference, total disinterest in money or survival, the system loses control. This would force the organizers to do something drastic. Maybe forcibly eliminate the defiant players, as an example. Or use psychological tricks, like pitting them against each other by threatening another player's life. Direct hit, the point is, the game never accounts for rebellion. It only accounts for survival. Section 3. Real-life parallels. The Stanford Prison Experiment. Let's talk real life. Did you know that the design of Squid Game mirrors the infamous Stanford Prison Experiment? Test tube in 1971. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo conducted an experiment where volunteers were randomly assigned roles of guards and prisoners in a mock prison. Within days, things got violent. Some guards became tyrants, and prisoners broke down mentally. Collision, what's fascinating is the prisoners had a safe word. They could leave, but most didn't. They submitted. Just like in Squid Game, they felt trapped, even when there was technically a choice. So now imagine, if even in a simulated environment, people refused to rebel, what would it mean if two players in Squid Game actually did? Would the system collapse? Or would it adapt? Section 4. Player psychology. Why refusing is rare. Why do more players refuse? Simple hope. Brain, the lure of 45.6 billion Korean wons, $38 million, is enough to make desperate people betray their morals, their families, even their friends. But what if someone had nothing left to lose? Magnifying glass still to the left, let's take player 001, the old man. Spoiler alert, he was the game's creator. And yet, he played, smiled, laughed. Why? Because control is power. When you have it, you don't fear the consequences. But for regular players, refusing to play is almost unthinkable. It's like defying gravity. You can do it, but what cost? Performing arts thought-provoking moment. What would you do if you knew stepping forward meant death and standing still meant torture? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see how brave we really are. Section 5. The front man's dilemma. Let's shift focus to the front man. Top Hatty's not just a mysterious enforcer. He's a former winner. A man who once played the same games and won. Now he watches others suffer. If two players refuse to play, it puts him in a unique bind. Telephone receiver, he'd likely get a call from the VIPs, those masked elite gamblers funding the whole twisted circus. Why isn't the game progressing? Are we watching a rebellion? Fix it, or we pull funding. Fire suddenly, it's not just about the players. It's about protecting a billion-dollar underground empire. Speculation alert. If the front man senses the power of rebellion rising, he might pretend to negotiate, offer leniency, only to twist the knife later with a crueler game. Section 6. Alternate game designs. Could refusal be a strategy? Here's a wild theory. What if refusal is a hidden path the game rewards? Light bulb like a secret ending in a video game. One you can only unlock if you think outside the rules. Video game Remember Detroit. Become human? There's a path where androids peacefully refuse violence, and it leads to a totally different outcome. Maybe Squid Game is the same. If two players stood their ground, refused to fight, showed true solidarity, maybe the game ends. Maybe that's the real test. Can humans choose empathy over survival? Puzzle piece, this would completely flip the narrative. Maybe player 456 didn't win because he survived. He won because he refused to spend the money. Section 7. The real-world connection, capitalism, resistance, and choice. Let's zoom out for a second. Squid Game isn't just fiction. It's a mirror of modern society. Host returns calm but intense. So, what really happens if two players refuse to play? In theory, they could be eliminated. In practice, they could inspire a movement. Maybe they die. Maybe they win. Or maybe they unlock a truth the game was never meant to reveal. Speech balloon, tell me. If you were in that arena, what would you do? Play? Fight? Or sit down in defiance? Let's have that conversation in the comments. And hey, if you want a part 2 exploring what happens if everyone refuses to play, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with a fellow Squid Game fan. Until next time, don't play the game. Beat it.